welcome to the Wheels and Whirls Skate Dance Show. This is lesson number 4. And today, I've got some new tricks up my sleeve. Oh, I'm not really wearing sleeves. Got some new tricks down in my wheels to share with you. You might be wondering, why does it look like I am marching in place? Well, we are going to be starting from this lesson forward to work on a very important skill that we're gonna need for skate dance. It's called drilling. Hello viewers, it occurs to me throughout this video I mislabeled a move. I kept calling it drilling instead of dribbling. Obviously I don't play basketball. How could I make such a mistake, right? Drilling is all the moves that we're practicing each week. That's us running our drills and getting better at skating, right? Right, okay. Dribbling is that movement with the feet that we're gonna work on in my next episode. So I apologize. I make a lot of mistakes. I try to correct them when I catch them. And I hope you'll be patient with me as I'm learning not only the moves, but the lingo too. All right, back to the show. And what it is when you bring your foot forward, you're gonna lift your 2 front wheels off the ground. And when you bring your foot backward, you're gonna lift your 2 rear wheels. And eventually, that's gonna become into like a very nice glide movement where it looks like you're like floating, hovering on the ground. I'm not there yet. This is a new skill for me, and I'm gonna try and break it down into learning 2 different parts. First one, I'm gonna try and get comfortable with lifting my wheels behind me as my foot rolls back and finding the threshold on the front wheels before I hit my toe stops. That was one of the reasons in a previous lesson I said leave your toe stops on. These are gonna be my safeguards, my training wheels, while I get the idea of how far can I roll forward on my toes before I'm gonna crash out. And ideally, we're not gonna always just go pop, pop, plop onto our toes. We wanna be a fluid rolling machine. And when we get that comfortability, we know what that threshold and range of motion is, then maybe you can remove your toe stops and really jazz this up. The second piece will be learning to lift your toes when you bring your heel forward. So I'm probably going to break this into learning each one piece by piece before trying to put it together, because that helps me learn and do things better. I think it might be a little difficult for me anyway to start with heels and toes at the same time. This is what it would look like. And then you'd switch. See, I'm already really wobbly because I'm not comfortable with that yet. Now, if you yourself are and you're ready to go for that, more power to you. You go for it. But each week you should be practicing that skill on your own and developing comfortability with the idea of going up and swapping, okay? And again, if you want to start with just one at a time, build comfortability and then add in the second, go for it. Whatever works best for you comes naturally for you. But this again is going to be called drilling, and it's going to make all of our skate dancing so much better when we get comfortable with that idea. Don't worry if it takes you a while. This is why we practice, and hopefully you're practicing when you're not with me and learning how to do that. All right, so new skill already unlocked for you. Start practicing that every week. But let's get right to today. Have you stretched? If you haven't, let's go do that together now, and then we'll get right into our lessons. Let's go. And just push back as far as you can and really sit into it. If you can really lower your center toward the mat. I'm gonna have to keep looking down at my stopwatch, guys. I don't wanna run over, so forgive me, but we're gonna hold this pose for about 15 seconds and then swap to the other side, just in the interest of time. But if you can do this for 45 seconds on each side at home, I suggest that you do that. Just really sit into it and push back, be comfortable. And I'm just gonna hold my phone so I know that I don't run over the time. And again, if If you're doing this at home, take the time to do more than 30 seconds. Go for 45 seconds to a minute if you can, and do this 2 or 3 times. And you're gonna have some really great looking abs, by the way. Whew. Try and go slow up and slow down. If you're a little wobbly, that's okay. You could use the back of a chair or another piece of furniture, a wall, to kind of help support you as you do this. And I'm, again, aiming for about 15 seconds on each side, which isn't very much. So if you have the time and you can do more than this, you should do that. All right, we're gonna get one more in. And again, I'm only doing a quick 30-second demo for you. Spend more time doing this. You're gonna have some really strong core muscles, abs, legs and thighs. You'll be a skating dream. And that's gonna do it for our warm-up this morning. We're gonna head right over to the skating show. How'd you like our stretching session? Oh, you like my little side surf? Now that I'm all stretched out, I feel like I can open up my legs a little bit more, get crouched low, and do some fun things. All right, as promised, last lesson I said we would be talking about, I kept calling them watermelons. I looked it up. They're called lemons, bubbles, and I think somebody else calls them swizzles, but it's this motion. We don't even lift our feet off the floor. We just move around in a circle, bring our feet out, in, and you can move all the way around. And as I told you in the last video, that motion is a really good one to get comfortable doing a plow stop, because you're going to come out and apply pressure on those rear outside wheels, and you're gonna come to a stop. So, practice bubbles and swizzles. You might wanna go outside if you have the ability to do so, or go to a rink. And as you can see, just from bringing my feet out and in, I am able to cruise around the floor without ever lifting my foot off the ground. So that is a great way to get comfortable with opening your hips, feeling the speed of the skate, practicing those plow stops, and learning to skate. It also is going to help us build on the other skill I wanted to work on today, which is called the crossover. So in a previous lesson, we talked about crossing over in a dance step, like a grapevine. We were talking about, going over and behind with our feet. But we also talked about scratch. All right, I'm gonna take a breath. I'm gonna recenter myself and focus my thoughts. Sometimes while I'm working on this with you, I am just shooting from the hip a lot about a bunch of things going on in my head. I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to infuse you with the love of skating like I have. And my tongue gets going, la 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 la. I apologize. Anybody that knows me knows this is kind of how I operate, but I'm working on it. I want to be a better instructor for you. So I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to slow down. Okay. You practiced your bubbles, your swizzles, your lemons, my watermelons. Great. Good job. Let's talk about crossovers. I mentioned crossovers in a previous lesson in the framework of a dance step, right? I was talking about how we went from doing a side-to-side cross like this and practicing getting our feet up and feeling comfortable to crossing our foot in front of the other or behind the other. We talked about in dance, that's called like a grapevine move. We talked about how eventually, instead of doing this very robotically, we're gonna learn how to lift our front wheels and our rear wheels. I mentioned that earlier in this lesson. That's something that we're gonna be working on starting from this point forward. Every lesson, we need to practice that because that's what's really gonna start to shape these moves and make them look much smoother, much more fluid. So I now wanna mention to you a crossover, other than this grapevining dance step thing I got going on here, is when you're in the roller rink or just trying to go in a circle, outside in parking lot, whatever you are, and you want to maintain your stability and your speed around the corner of a rink or a circle, and you don't want to slow down and lose that momentum, you're going to be lifting your foot and crossing over in front of the other one. Now, in most skating rinks, we move in a counterclockwise rotation, so that makes our right leg the one that's going to be crossing over. So we're going to just do that so that you get very comfortable. So the best way to learn how to do this, again, in my opinion, not an expert, but I have been skating a long time, so I think you can trust what I say a bit. Get really comfortable lifting your feet. Again, all that practice that I had you doing where you felt really silly kind of standing in place and just doing these numbers and this grapevine crossing over is going to get you comfortable doing this while in motion going around the floor. So practice that a bunch. And then when you're ready, follow along with me. What we're going to do, we're going to start very slow. I'm actually going to skate as slow as I can. Now I'm on a floor that has like an epoxy glaze on it, which is awesome for our video purposes. It's really shiny and beautiful and bright, and the light reflects good, and hopefully you can see me skating along well. But it also means I can move really fast on my wheels, so I'm gonna try and just keep my motion slower so that I can demonstrate for you as best as I can what the crossover looks like. But when you're going around in a circle, to start practicing this, I think the best way to do is to start small. So just kind of like step, step, step around the corners. You don't even have to be going in a circle to practice that initially. I'm going to try and do that close up for you here. I'm going to treat this little area right in front of me as a small circle. Step, 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 step. And what I'm doing while I'm doing this step, step, step thing is I'm letting my left leg, which is the leg that's being crossed over, I'm letting it roll a little bit while I'm transferring the weight. I'm trying to break it down for you. So the weight is primarily on the leg that's being crossed over as you're going into a circle, and you're kind of leaning with the other leg, turning your hip and leaning into that circle a bit. That's going to help you maintain that momentum, and it's going to make it much easier to cross over that leg too. So what I'm talking about is this leg has the weight on it. This leg is lifting and coming over, and I'm kind of turning my hip and following through. And this looks very exaggerated right now. I'm sorry, because it's a little hard to do this while standing still, but just for you to get the idea of kind of leaning where the weight is shifting from here before it takes over here. So as you're coming into the corner, your weight's going to be on the leg that doesn't lift, the one that's being crossed over. And as the other leg comes over, you're transferring the weight to your back wheels and into that quad and thigh muscle and lifting your leg up. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to do this in motion to demonstrate better. So I'm coming over, I'm lifting and planting, I'm lifting and planting, okay? So we're trying to break this down into easy learnable steps for you. Step one, as you approach, that might be a new word. Step one, as you approach your turn, you're going to start with the weight on the leg that is being crossed over. And it's mostly in the outer wheel area, the outside wheels, and in the heel especially, but that's where your weight and your balance is going to start. Step two, you are going to lift the leg to cross over the other one and lean in the direction that you're trying to turn a little bit and bring that leg over. As soon as you do that, your weight is going to transfer from the planted leg that has just been crossed over to the leg doing the crossover. You're gonna put all that weight here in that, your quads, your thighs, that rear heels You're gonna feel that, and you're going to, step 3, lift the leg that you just crossed over and bring it forward. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And eventually, as you get more and more comfortable with this movement, it kind of becomes a 2-step process and less about 3. But as you're learning, it's best to break things down into easy steps that you can get comfortable with. You can even practice this while you're just kind of standing still and getting the comfortability of bringing a leg over and pointing your toes in the direction that you're gonna wanna go. Remember that weird cross slide I was showing you early on? Yeah, this move is coming back to haunt you or to help you. That idea of that inverted V, the A shape, is kind of like what we're gonna be doing when we're crossing over. One foot that's been going one direction is gonna have another foot take over and start pointing us in a new direction. We're gonna trust our weight on this new foot. We're gonna lift and bring the other foot forward again. And again, the foot's gonna tell us which direction we're going. So you can almost practice this in a full-on circle, just like so. You could keep practicing that cross slide step that I showed you and get comfortable with the idea of a foot crossing in front of another, because that's what a crossover is. And then you can practice going in a circle. So I hope I was able to break that down well enough for you and show you what that looked like. All right, let's do a quick review of everything we went over today, shall we? All right, number 1, you're going to be practicing from this week forward, rolling up on our heels and rolling back on our toes and trying to put those two together in a step that we're gonna call drilling, which is really good in skate dance. It's gonna look really cool when we get comfortable with this and get the hang of it. So I want you to practice this as much and as often as you can. You know, plant your toe stop, break it down nice and slow if you can. That's kind of helping me. It's just gonna take getting used to. Remember to keep your knees bent for that comfortability, and just do your best, okay? So that was number 1. Number 2, you're gonna be practicing your bubble, your lemon, your swizzle, my watermelons, and getting comfortable moving around without even lifting up your feet. When you get really comfortable with that, you can add some variation, which I will show you right now. I just did a little bit where you bring one foot in front of the other, like so. Ready? Ooh, that was fun. Okay, I'm gonna do it, go in the other direction here for you. Bringing one foot in front of the other, and then I'm bringing the other one back around in front. So that's something you can practice when you're doing those bubbles and lemons. The idea of bringing one foot in front of the other, like that, instead of just together apart, is you will be practicing for the all-important crossover step that we also went over. So let's review that. We're coming around, we're bringing our outside leg in front of the inside. Lift, turn, and this eventually will get much smoother too. A larger space is going to allow you to do more with that as well. But you're just gonna practice lift and turn, okay? All right, so I think those are where the skills we really covered today. So with that, I'm gonna say see you again soon, and I hope you'll keep putting on your skates and having fun jamming, practicing all these skills. Come back and see me for the next lesson. Bye.
Rolling wild through the midnight hour, dancing cat with electric power. Can't hold this spirit down, skating king, this restless town.
All right, next time on Wheels Whirls Skate Dance Show, we're going to be taking all of the techniques and skills we've already gone over and building on those as promised. So we're gonna revisit the crab walk. You'll remember it was open, close, so open, close, okay? Remember that move? And we're gonna add a little flick to that step to make it kind of more dance, and we're gonna try and add some speed eventually too. So we're gonna open, close. When we get over here, we're gonna add a flick. Then we're gonna open, close, add a flick, open, close, add a flick, and turn that into kind of a dance step, similar to the grapevine that we were practicing in our previous lesson, where we did the bumps. We're gonna be working on those some more. And again, those are gonna rely heavily on our ability to start popping up our wheels in a drill step here, where we're gonna get comfortable lifting back and front, lifting back and front. So that's gonna need lots and lots of practice, okay? And we're gonna work on everything we've done so far and build on it. And in the meantime, I'm gonna look up some more things that might help us gain confidence, stability, and the ability to add on to the skills we've already learned. Hope you're enjoying learning how to skate dance with me, and I hope you'll come back for my next lesson. See you later.